Am I the a-hole for breaking the news that my father-in-law is never going to be cancer-free again? So, my father-in-law, who is 62 years old, was diagnosed with a chronic form of cancer a little less than a year ago. My husband, who is 32 years old, along with his brother, who is also 32 years old, and their mother, who is 62 years old, have been part of the process from day one and have heard the explanation I am about to give as well. The cancer he has is not of the aggressive kind, but will never go away either. The best case scenario is that the doctors can stop chemotherapy, and some kind of immunotherapy successfully takes over the treatment. They tried this for the first time in November of last year. They stopped the chemotherapy he had been receiving since the diagnosis and attempted to let the immunotherapy take over. However, in March, they concluded that this takeover did not work, and they had to restart with a different chemotherapy and a different immunotherapy. This is the way it will always be for my father-in-law. He understands this, but the rest of the family does not seem to grasp the situation and keeps telling him he needs to rest a lot and wait until the cancer is gone to restart doing the things he enjoyed before, such as working in his garden, meeting up with his friends, or going for a bike ride. He told me once that he hates these comments because they want him to wait it out, but there is nothing to wait out since it is not going away. Lately, he just starts crying whenever someone makes a comment like that. Yesterday, he left the room and people were wondering, why is he so sensitive? I explained that his illness is chronic and will not go away. They are literally asking him to stop his life forever. They all heard the doctors. Why do they keep talking about when it's over? It is not going to be over ever. They all claim to have never heard that before, but we were all present when the doctor gave this diagnosis. Perhaps it was such a shock to them that they deliberately forgot it. So, am I the a-hole for telling them? One of two things is true. Option one is that they did not hear the doctors, or they heard, but did not understand the doctors. In that case, you are not the a-hole, and they should be thanking you profusely for informing them of this extremely important fact and or calling the doctors in a panic to learn what else they missed. Option two is that they decided to pretend that they did not hear the doctors so that they can pretend that this is a temporary situation, which would be fine, except that they are doing their pretending in such a way that it is causing pain and distress to the very person they should be trying to support. In that case, you are not the a-hole because they needed a wake-up call about how grossly inappropriate their behavior was. Since they are upset with you for telling them, it seems clear to me that we are in option 2 territory, so you are not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for leaving a party early because no one was talking to me? My friend invited me to her boyfriend's birthday party. I do not really know him well, but I wanted to support her, so I went just because I like her. I arrived on time, brought a gift, and tried to make conversation, but most people already knew each other and were sticking to their own groups. I barely knew any of those people. My friend was busy hosting and did not really have time to talk. After about an hour of sitting there pretty much by myself and drinking, with only a few polite exchanges, I decided to leave. I messaged her later that evening to wish her a good night, but she responded saying she was disappointed I bilayed so early, and that it seemed like I did not want to be there. Now I am wondering if I really did something wrong. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You made an effort to go, and you made pleasant conversation, but you were not enjoying yourself and chose to leave. What did she want you to do exactly? She could also have introduced you to some of her friends and tried to include you. Am I the a-hole for saying my mother-in-law cannot stop by the house that she bought for us? My mother-in-law bought my husband, who is 29 years old, and me, who is also 29 years old, a house across the street from hers, literally across the street. Our first home, which was already nearby, had severe flooding issues. When the new house, much nicer, went on the market, my mother-in-law offered to buy it for us. As a side note, my mother-in-law was well off but unexpectedly came into a significant amount of money 8 years ago. She has a habit of overspending on her children, like any mother would, I am sure. My husband is extremely comfortable accepting her generosity, but it is hard for me. He initially said no and moved on. Shortly after, we experienced the worst flood we had ever seen, and it became a constant stressor for us. We were really struggling with it. I caved and asked if she was serious about buying the house. He confirmed that she was, and he thought it was a nice house. So I asked him to set up a tour for later that day. By 3 p.m. that day, without involving me at all, my mother-in-law had made a cash offer on the house, and we were under contract. I am wildly independent and private, and I have never allowed anyone to make decisions for me, but the benefits clearly outweigh my discomforts in this situation. However, since this is not the first time she has acted like this, my husband said he would talk to her about how we appreciate her generosity, but she crossed the line. Apparently, they did have some version of that conversation, but it felt like she got away with merely agreeing that she overstepped without acknowledging that it is not okay to behave that way. As a second side note, my husband is honestly a bit of a mama's boy. I say that with love and respect, hoping that if I ever have a son, I am lucky enough to have such a loving relationship with him, but it is what it is. He is very protective of her, and with her various health issues, he always comes when she calls. However, there is a level of constant communication that is foreign and frankly frustrating to me, as I come from a fairly cold family. I respect that his family is different from mine, and since I am living surrounded by them, I am the one who needs to adjust. It felt wrong to be anything but grateful for the house, and I am truly grateful, but she has been stopping by, calling him more and more, and recently even came over with a stranger, someone I did not know, to tour my house unannounced. My husband, bless him, wants to be on my side and has actively put me first multiple times since this behavior is not new. However, my mother-in-law can be quite loud and guilt-inducing when things do not go her way. He cares so much about her, and it stresses him when he is caught in the middle, so for his sake, I tend to back down because I know she will make him feel bad otherwise. I believe she has a good heart and means well, but she has her own issues and, in my opinion, is emotionally immature. Am I the a-hole for drawing boundaries for myself and telling her that she is not allowed over my house unannounced, even though she purchased it? Edit, the only names on the deed are mine and my husband's. Not the a-hole, but for goodness sake, grow a spine and change the locks. Make sure to tell your husband that if he gives her a key or access to your home in any way without your agreement, this will be the hill you will die on. Visitors to the home must be approved by 2 yesies. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my dad's partner to my small wedding dinner and for not reaching out to her first to explain why? I am using a throwaway account to ensure this does not connect to my main profile. My partner and I are getting married this summer, and we have decided to essentially elope. We are going to have a private ceremony just for the 2 of us during our honeymoon. Not only does this align very much with who we are, so no one in our lives is very surprised by this decision, but we are also doing it because, first, our families live scattered across the world, and a larger event would mean leaving a lot of people out, and second, we want to avoid drama. However, what we do want to do is get dressed up, take photographs, and have dinner together with our immediate families. So essentially, we are planning a micro non-wedding celebration. This is where the issues begin. I informed my parents that I wanted to have this small event with just them, my partner, and my sister, not including their new partners. My parents went through a nasty divorce when I was in my teens, and for several reasons that I explained to them, I wanted an intimate event just for the 5 of us. My mother was fully supportive, saying she could understand why this would be so meaningful for me. My father understood as well. However, he wanted me to be the one to break the news to his partner, who is 54 years old. I did not think I needed to do that, because it is not like I am calling every single other family member who is not invited to explain this decision. I did say that if she is upset, she is more than welcome to call me, and we can talk about it. His partner is very sensitive, and we have clashed a lot over the years because I do not think she has ever been fully willing to understand the nuances of coming into a family after a divorce. Their relationship began shortly after the divorce, and she tried to parent both my sister and me, who were teenagers and preteens, from the very start. However, even though we are not close, I have done my best to otherwise be welcoming and kind. Well, now he has told her, and all chaos has broken loose. She is completely beside herself, and he wants me to mitigate the issue and reach out. I have reiterated that she is free to call me. If she cannot possibly understand why this is about me and not her, and I can understand she is disappointed, but so is, I assume, everyone else, then she should reach out to me. Am I the a-hole for not inviting her, for not breaking the news to her, and for refusing to be the first person to reach out here to resolve this? I can somewhat see my father's point, as he says I should be extra mindful of her since she is a sensitive person who has had a difficult time accepting that we are not very close and takes this personally. However, at the same time, I do not believe I am responsible for her feelings or for cleaning up this situation. I also believe in the idea of my wedding, my choice. Not the a-hole. Your mother's partner is not invited either. If your father's partner is taking such personal offense to something that obviously isn't actually about her, that is her problem, not yours. It is insane that they expect you, assuming you are in your 20s or 30s, to be all grown up and talk to her, but cannot expect a whole person in their 50s to grow up and respect other people's wishes.